when you love something, I think you want to learn, you want to grow, and I think you can learn from anyone who wants to learn and grow. So I love to be around people who do totally different things, because I feel I learn the most from people who have totally different approaches.
I've met some very, very kind people here, and I think events like this are very encouraging. Especially, I would love to see like cross-international, like there's so much that we can learn from people here, and people can learn from the US market. So there's always, no matter what stage you are or where you come from, there's things to learn.
I think Entrepreneurship Avenue can be a great way to enter the startup and the entrepreneurship scene. So no matter if you already have experience or not, I think this can be a great connection point for you.
It's more important to choose a team than it is to choose a problem to solve. Because as you're building a product and as you're building a company, the precise problem you're solving might change as you find product market fit. The team is going to stay, the problem might change. And so knowing that off the bat, I think is really important to making good choices.
Es ist normal zu straucheln, es ist normal zu fallen, es ist unangenehm. Aber die Kraft zusammenzunehmen und zu sagen, ich will aber weitermachen und ich sehe ein Ziel vor mir, das ist das Wichtigste. Und dann wird man das auch schaffen.
If you have an idea and a feeling to go for it, that's the only advice is just do it.
The different perspectives and people and the variety and diversity, I think that's what Entrepreneurship Avenue is in its core. Das war mir ein Fest, das hat mich sehr gefreut.
Hello and a very warm welcome to the Entrepreneurship Avenue 2020. My name is Daniel and I'm going to be your host today. I will guide you throughout this whole event. And I can tell you this event is going to be pretty cool, but not only cool, it's also something special because for us it's something completely new. Normally the Entrepreneurship Avenue takes place in real life, so to say, where you can actually meet people, but due to the current crisis, I don't think that I need any further explaining, but due to the current crisis, we were forced to kind of move this online, which we did now. So this is also the very first time that we're doing a live stream like this. So I really hope that this works out fine, but please forgive us if there are any mistakes, if there are any unexpected things happening. Don't be sad, maybe just be surprised by it, okay? And if you have any feedback, if you have anything that you like, that you dislike, you can always, of course, let us know in the comments or somewhere. It's a learning for us. It's a learning that's hopefully going to be a good one. Okay. And also, yes, it's actually live here. So we are really doing this right now as I'm speaking. And also many of the speakers are going to be actually live here. And I would love to have some interaction here maybe. So maybe you can tell us where you come from. You can post it in the comments somewhere down below. Where do you actually come from? Tell us that and we will come back to that a little later. So let's see what kind of people we have here. I'm really curious about it. Maybe because I expect that there might be some people that are not familiar with the Entrepreneurship Avenue at all. Maybe first of all, what is the Entrepreneurship Avenue? The Entrepreneurship Avenue is Europe's biggest student-focused startup event focused on the entrepreneurial scene. And basically, it helps students to get started with their own business. It's helping getting started in the entrepreneurial scene. And the best thing about this is that it's totally for free. So you don't need to pay anything. You basically only need to do one thing, that is sign up for the event in order to receive the link to participate here. That's the only thing you need to do, but the Entrepreneurship Avenue is an event series, and that's also actually why it's called Avenue. It's not just one event, it's an event series, so like an avenue, not like a bus stop, it's like an avenue. It goes, yeah, many events, okay. Then we're moving on, okay, many events, I just said it. Here we have all the events that are taking place. So first event today is the Kickoff, where you basically can lean back at your home, you can get inspired. We have some really cool speakers. I'm going to come back to that in a while, but we have some really cool speakers here, but basically for you it's leaning back, get inspired for your own idea maybe. The next event is going to be the idea presentation, and this is really where you are getting active. So you will shoot a video yourself, you will submit it, and you will also get feedback and can maybe even find your own team in order to pursue your own idea. This is where you can present your idea. Also more information on that a little later. The third event and the second lab, basically, by the way, we call all of these events labs. So the idea presentation is the first lab, and the second lab will be the mentoring, where you take your idea and then you have mentors. These are founders, these are people that are working in the startup scene, and they giving you advice and that you can pursue your idea further. This is happening in the mentoring. The third lab and fourth event is the pitch training, and that's a really special one, I think, because it's so important for startups that they're able to pitch, because actually being able to convince someone that your idea is the best within 30 seconds is not something that you just do, but it's an art. And you can actually learn it here. You can learn it here for free, and that's really great. So that's the third lab, and the fourth lab is going to be the demo day. This is the great day where you can actually present your idea to the public. And last but not least, the last event on June the 2nd will be the conference. We're also having speeches there. We're having really cool keynotes, also startups and people joining us, even from Silicon Valley. So we're definitely looking forward to that as well. All right. Okay, but what's happening today actually? Brief agenda, what's coming up now. So now is the opening. That's what we're doing right now. Surprise, surprise. Then the first keynote, opening keynote by Stephan Jung. After that, we're going to have a keynote by Katharina Binder. She's going to talk about, her talk is called Less Assuming, More Validating. Probably quite important for startups in general. Then, this is a big one. Trevor Traina, who is the US ambassador to Austria, and he has, wow, quite some experience made in his life. So I'm really curious also about that one. Then the fourth talk, Sandra Falkner. And the last but not least, Wundsam, who was actually a participant of the Entrepreneurship Avenue last year. So basically where you are right now. And she's going to talk about how the Entrepreneurship Avenue actually then kickstarted her own career. So also definitely really interesting, really inspiring. And last but not least, we have the closing and the outlook. And at the very end, that's also cool, we have some networking planned. And for that, it's very important that you actually sign up. There's a link in the description, and that's important, you have to sign up in order to participate. So please do so, and I would really recommend that you also participate in networking, because probably some of the speakers are going to be there. You probably can find team members. I'm going to be there, so you should be there too. All right. Also, because normally this is like a real life event, so to say, where we normally hand out booklets or like little sheets to the people where they can actually look everything up that we said. But now we actually prepared a booklet for you where you can find all of the information I just told you, and you can find even more information. And the link, you can also find this in the description. Download it. There's a lot of information that's probably quite useful and gives you a great overview of what the Entrepreneurship Avenue is about. All right, that was it from the opening remarks. And well, the Entrepreneurship Avenue actually has quite some history. Almost a decade ago, the Entrepreneurship Avenue was founded by Rudolf Dömötör. Unfortunately, he can't be here today. He is actually in Barcelona right now, but he has recorded a nice video, And I'm now really curious what he has to say, actually. So,
hello from rainy Barcelona and welcome to the Entrepreneurship Avenue 2020. Wow. Today we are kicking off the 7th edition of the Entrepreneurship Avenue already. It all started in late 2013 with an idea about a new cross-university entrepreneurship event series and, as the saying goes, with the right people at the right time and the right place. Ever since, the Avenue has seen an amazing development. More than 9,000 participants have joined our events so far, and almost 250 mostly cross-disciplinary student startup teams have been formed. From the start, our main mission has been to inspire, to encourage and to support young people to start their own business. We designed the Avenue as a platform of opportunities for students from various backgrounds and disciplines, both explorers who simply want to learn about entrepreneurship and entrepreneurs. They benefit from the elaborate support infrastructure the program offers to student startup projects. Thanks to the diverse backgrounds of the participants and the captivating can-do attitude of everyone involved, the Entrepreneurship Avenue succeeded in providing a unique learning and working atmosphere in the last years. As you all know, this year it is not possible to run the program as before. A month ago, we were even considering calling the Avenue 2020 off completely. Fortunately, the organizing team accepted the Corona challenge, and within just a few weeks they redesigned the Entrepreneurship Avenue into an all-online program. Kudos to you. So, let the Avenue 2020 journey begin. You all are the next generation of Avenue explorers and entrepreneurs. And even if all of us are sitting in front of their computers at home right now, don't be shy. Try to meet with like-minded people from other backgrounds as good as the circumstances and the communication technologies will allow. Build teams, develop, test, refine ideas, even reject them if necessary. Try to get the most out of it. This is your journey. Have a great trip.
thanks a lot, Rudolf, for these motivating words. Yes, the founder of the Entrepreneurship Avenue, that's what he says about that. And we're now moving on to the first keynote, actually, who is going to be Stephan Jung, and he will give you a little bit of an insight into entrepreneurship, what it's like maybe also to be in the entrepreneurial scene, because he has been in the entrepreneurial scene quite a lot. He has, for instance, been the managing partner of the We Accelerate program here in Vienna, and also founded his own startups, and also been at universities like the MIT or the WU here in Vienna. And I'm actually really curious now about his talk.
what is it better to start an entrepreneurial journey than in times of change and in times of uncertainty? Because entrepreneurs tend to do exactly this. I don't know that I would like to change the slides, please, to the next slide. The question is, what is entrepreneurship? And I brought some definitions with me, which you can find on the next slide. And the next slide says that entrepreneurship is, from one perspective, this is the Danish Foundation for Entrepreneurship and Young Enterprises. Entrepreneurship is when you act upon opportunities, ideas, and transform them into values for others. So right now, we think it is the best time to identify such opportunities because the world is changing dramatically, perhaps even more than we ever experienced before, at least in our lifespan. Or the famous Peter Drucker, he says, well, entrepreneurship means to search for change, responding to it and exploiting this as an opportunity. So again, very reflects very much to the crisis and the corona thing we are right now in there. And Howard Stevenson, also a famous professor and researcher, entrepreneurship may be defined as a pursuit of opportunity without regard to resources currently controlled. So entrepreneurship is all about opportunities, and I believe we are in a good time to search for opportunities. On the next slide, you will see what entrepreneurship is all about. It is first about opportunity recognition, so identifying opportunities, and then it is about exploiting those opportunities, pursuit of opportunities, it is called in research. If you look at this opportunity recognition thing, then it is crucial to identify a product or a service that serves a current or a future need on the market better than it is done today. So it is all about identifying needs and problems existing today that you can solve for your market in the future. But it is not only about identifying product or services for a fitting market or target audience. It is, of course, and to an even greater extent, exploiting those opportunities. And then it comes to, as an entrepreneur, it comes to...
Was war die Katharina Binder, was macht die nochmal? theVentury. Sie ist bei theVentury. theVentury.
To keep your joint vision alive, you believe you make something better for an existing audience or for a future audience. And I've brought some nice examples with me today that I would like to share with you of people that have done this in the past. The first one is Edwin Land, and he establishes the Polaroid Co. Then 3 years old, her name is Jennifer, and they took a picture during holidays. And the daughter raised a very simple, perhaps stupid question. And the question was, why can't I see the pictures now, Daddy? And Daddy started to think about that. So there was this opportunity. Hey, there seems to be a need of people. So why can't we build something around that? And he decided to start Polaroid the instant picture company that was established in 1947, as you can see on the slides. A second nice example is the example on the next slide of the shoes, the new shoes that can breathe. Perhaps you know what it is about. It is about the famous Georg's example. And the founder of this Georg's was on a business trip to Nevada. He was into the wine business, and he went for a hiking in the mountains of Nevada, and it was really hot and his feet became very sweaty. So he decided to cut holes in his shoes to get some air into his feet. When returning home, he tried to identify shoes that can actually breathe, and he didn't find any solution there. So he started to exploit this opportunity further, and with a NASA patented technology, he finally was able to make shoes that are breathable, that can breathe. This is the famous Georg's example that you might also be familiar with. So what can this explain? What does this help us? What can this tell us? This helps us in understanding that at the end, when it comes to entrepreneurship, it is all about people. A famous quote here by Guy Kawasaki, who explained entrepreneurship is the state of mind of people who want to change the future. If you want to question that a little bit, the next thing to understand, or the next thing to think about, is what makes entrepreneurs so special. Because when we come to research and try to analyze what are entrepreneurs and is there a similarity or a pattern you can identify, there is obviously not a pattern. Just think about 2 or 3 or 4 famous founders that you know, might be examples like Facebook or Microsoft or others that are rather close to you, and think of the people who started that business. They don't have many things in common. The only thing they have in common, they want to change the existing status and they want to make something better. Of course, they also want to make money, but they want to make something better for a certain market or a certain target audience. Now, coming a little bit to you, what can you do during this journey of the entrepreneurship avenue this year? Well, I put together 5 statements that might be important to follow on as some guiding rules along the way until we see ourselves back at the conference in June this year. The first thing is entrepreneurs really do what they love. Because if you do something that you love, you will go the extra mile, which keeps you ahead of the market, which makes you and your product and your company a better company than the one of your competition. The second element is that entrepreneurs tend to think like travelers. So if you think about developing an idea further, ideas might be born in unusual places. They might be come into place because by combining different experiences that you have. And here comes also the big advantage of the entrepreneurship avenue into this element. We believe that the best startup team consists of various disciplines, so it is interdisciplinary, because from research we know that the greatest ideas start off when different experiences come together. Next and very important element is entrepreneurs are adaptive. So they don't stick to their first idea and their first product, but they start learning from their audience, from their clients, from their users. And there are many examples of companies that shifted along their journey to become a successful one. I just want to pick out one. You see the logo down there. It is YouTube. YouTube, you know what it is right now. Perhaps you also watch me talking and the whole Kickoff while being on YouTube and following the live stream. But actually, YouTube started off as an online dating platform where you could shoot videos of yourself, and then the audience decided whether you're hot or not. So you see the journey of YouTube. Some elements are still there in the business model, some totally changed over time. So entrepreneurs are adaptive because they have to handle uncertainty. So you should be better prepared as entrepreneur than the mass majority of people in the current situation. And we also see this because you followed us the journey to a digital entrepreneurship avenue and not the offline version as we had them in the last couple of years. Finally, entrepreneurs just do. They start off, they don't think too much. When they have a vision in mind, when they have a clear idea in place, they just start off with the resources they have in place and see where they can get from there. So there are no excuses. Real entrepreneur tries to put together everything that they have. If coding is necessary and you don't know, you learn how to code, or you involve a person that knows how to code and you can convince him or her about your vision, and you form a team to start the business. Finally, entrepreneurs are very persistent. So if you get negative feedback, and this will happen, many people, especially in our culture, are not open enough to think about how can this product potentially change our way of living or our way of doing business. They are rather shying away, saying, well, I don't believe because of this and this and this and that reason. You have to stay persistent and believe that at the end your vision will come true. I wish you the best of luck for this entrepreneurship avenue. Start, fail, repeat, and succeed. Goodbye from myself, and I hope we see each other during the labs or at the conference. And all the best to you. Bye.
Thanks a lot, Stephan, Jung, for this very inspiring keynote. I think now this is a very good outlook for all the people here, that they know, well, what's actually going on in the entrepreneur scene. Very important. And thanks a lot for that. Then we're now coming back to the comments. We have read the comments, we've read them all, and there are people from all around the globe. Actually, there are people even from Somalia and from Dubai. Greetings, they're very far away, probably even a lot of different time. We have 6 o'clock here, so probably later at your place, I guess. Awesome, that's really great. We love it, and we also love the next speaker, who is Katharina Binder. By the way, I apologize at this point that we had some audio problems I figured out during the last talk. We are hoping to fix that with the next one. Next talk is Katharina Binder. She is the program manager of theVentury, which is a very important actor in the startup scene. And she's going to talk about less assuming and more validating. That's the name of her talk. And now you can actually also ask her questions during the talk. The link is down in the description, and we will pick out some of the most interesting questions. And then at the end of the talk, I will ask her the questions. We can be surprised what the answers will be. Also, of course, maybe if you like this and if you like that talk already, be sure to share the link, invite your friends. They can still join at this point, of course. We are loving everyone that's joining us now. And if you like it, maybe also push the like button and subscribe to us. We also appreciate that very much. But now, with this information, I would say we move on to the next talk of Katharina Binder.
All right, I think I'm live now. Hi, everybody. My name is Katharina Binder, and thanks for having me, Entrepreneurship Avenue. A couple of years ago, I was in the audience at the Avenue Kickoff myself, getting inspired. So it's really humbling and exciting to be here today and to talk to you about idea evaluation, which is a topic that is very close to my heart, because I kind of am confronted with it every single day in my job. Let me just try to, I can't control the slides right now. There we go. Now we're there. And my job as accelerator manager at theVentury. In our accelerator, we work with early stage startups from all over the world who are in the fields of AI and machine learning. And for 5 months, we support them on their journey from idea to product market fit, ideally. Over the last 2 years, I supported over 20 startups on this journey. And why they're coming to us, or why startups in general are getting support, is because of the following number. Yep, there it is, 90%. Some of you have probably heard of this number before, but this is the percentage of startups who fail. And I gotta be honest, even for me, who has been in the startup ecosystem for a couple of years already, this is a really daunting number. And what's even crazier to me is that 42% of these 90% of startups are failing because there is no market for the product they have built. So almost half of the startups who are failing are building something that nobody wants. And you would think, that it's natural to look at the potential of an idea before you actually put money and time and other resources into this. But actually, we see this all the time. And especially when talking to, tech founders, you can see that they're really good at thinking in ideas and like building really cool solutions that work really, really well. But they forget to look at the single most important thing, the underlying problem. And I guess this is why I'm here today, to tell you how to not make that mistake. And luckily, there are solutions out there to do this. But before we do that, I want to take a quick look at the definition of a startup by Eric Ries. And he says that a startup is a human institution designed to create a new product or service under conditions of extreme uncertainty. And I mean, when we look at this, it just becomes clear that as a founder, you have so many things to consider, and you're not only operating under extreme uncertainty, but you also are faced with liabilities of newness, which means you don't have existing relationships with your customers, with your suppliers, with your partners. You're also faced with liabilities of smallness, which means you most likely don't have any money or no team or a very small team to, put your idea into action. But as I said, there is something that helps you, and there are solutions to help you with all these problems, and especially the no market problem. And that's called the hypothesis-driven entrepreneurship. And there are several approaches that are kind of part of this hypothesis-driven entrepreneurship. And both of them are focused on learning, because learning is the one single thing you will do most of the time as a founder. And it's really important to kind of measure success, especially in the beginning, in terms of validated learning. As we said, you're operating under extreme uncertainty. You are working with innovation, which means you're working with a lot of unknowns. And in this environment, planning is not the solution. What is the solution is kind of building a tiny little thing, kind of like your idea, then testing it, going out, talking about it, then gathering what you learned through this, and then deciding if you want to go back and rework what you've tested so far, or if you want to build on top of this. And so you go through this cycle a lot as an entrepreneur. And this is like the basis of what we call lean startup. And the other thing, customer development, has been created by this guy here, Steve Blank. And Steve Blank has said a lot of smart things, but the one thing I want you to take away from this today is what he said here is, there are no facts inside your building, so get the heck outside. And that means, you don't know anything basically as a founder. You can't figure it out sitting at your desk. You need to go outside, and you need to talk to your customers and to other people, and you need to get insights. And you're probably thinking, this all sounds super nice, but how are we actually going to do this? So I want to take you through the customer development process. Could you kind of click to the next slide, you guys? Because I can't. There it is. So I want to take you through the customer discovery process, which is the first part of the customer development process. And these are 4 steps. First is state your hypotheses, then you're testing the problem, you're testing the solution, and then you're pivoting or you're proceeding. And yeah, let's take you through the steps. So number 1, state your hypotheses. As I said before, you are going to be faced with a lot of unknowns and assumptions that you will have to kind of write down first. And the lean canvas here, or the business model canvas, which you will hear a lot about in the labs, that's gonna help you kind of do this in a very structured way. So you just kind of put your first ideas in this canvas, and then you're going to the next step, which is testing the problem. So that's where you get out of the building and you answer or you try to get these 3 key questions answered. Who are your customers? Do you really understand the customer's problem? And is it pressing enough? And do people really care about the problem for it to become a sustainable business, which means, are people going to pay for this? And I want to tell you a story here about one of the startups we're currently working with, because they just did it, as I explained before. So this startup thought they wanted to help retail understand their customers better, so with their demographics. And they went ahead and built a beautiful solution. Like, these people are really smart, and they built a tech solution that is super fancy and works really well. And then they went to the retailers and they wanted to sell it, but it turned out that retailers didn't need the solution. So they went back and talked to, a bunch of people, and what they figured out is that actually producers have a very pressing problem that is connected to retail, and they can use this solution, or kind of like an adapted version of this for them. And so yes, they have to rework the solution, and the process wasn't ideal. But by then actually going out and talking to people, they now found a viable business model and a customer. So really do this step. And when we're talking about this to founders, and usually somebody stands up and says, yeah, but there was this really great quote by Henry Ford, who said, if I had asked my customers what they wanted, then they would have said faster horses. So you can't ask the customer what they want. But this is not what we're talking about here. What we're talking about here is listening to their problems, not to their suggestions for solutions. Because you own the solution, they own the problem. And once you understood what the problem is, then you can go back and think of really cool ideas on how to solve these solutions, how to solve these problems. And when you're going out to looking for customers or people to interview, then you should really look for early evangelists, which are people who are covering this whole pyramid. So they have a problem, they are aware of this problem, and they're actually actively looking for a solution because this problem is pressing. And because it's so pressing, they have also assembled a solution out of parts, for example. So I don't know, just, used an Excel sheet and kind of tried to figure out how to solve the problem there. And then they also obviously need to have the budget, because if they don't have the budget, then you're not going to make money. So what you want to do is you want to look for people or for customers whose hair are on fire. Because if somebody's hair is on fire, then a brick is a valid solution. You want to look for the big problems, the pains, because you want to be a painkiller, not a vitamin. I really like this analogy. We take painkillers because we feel pain, but we usually forget to take our vitamins. So be a painkiller, not a vitamin. All right. Then once you really have understood who are your customers and what are their pressing problems, and you found this big pain, then you can go ahead and work on a solution. And that could be a prototype or even just like a piece of paper where you sketch something down. That's already enough. And then you try to get these 3 questions answered. Is this prototype, wireframe, whatever, piece of paper enough to generate significant enthusiasm? Did you identify the must-haves that people need and the nice-to-haves? Because you always want to start with the must-haves, and then later on you want to work on the nice-to-haves. And was the product exciting enough to stimulate referrals? So did people get so excited about it that they talked to others about it, or told you, you really need to talk to this person because I know they have a problem like this and they also would really love this. And then in the 4th step, when you answered all the other questions, then you can ask yourself, have we actually found a problem solution fit? Have we found a problem that is pressing enough and a solution that solves this problem? Do we really know who our customers are and how we can reach them? And do they have money and are they willing to pay? So can we make money and grow the company? So yes, once you've done all this, then you can either proceed and work on the solution some more, or you will have to go back and get the questions you haven't had answered yet answered. So go through this process of customer discovery again, state your hypotheses, test the problem, test the solution, pivot or proceed. And I have to tell you, you will probably go through this process several times and rework your hypotheses. Some will be validated, some will be not. And so this is just, I guess, the life of an entrepreneur. So what I want you to take away from this today is be a painkiller, not a vitamin. Everything your idea is based on our assumptions. And you can, in fact, discover these really big, meaningful problems that need solving if you just get the heck outside. And I hope you will do this in the next couple of weeks throughout the labs and take the help of all the mentors that will come in, have them introduce you to people that you can talk to. And yeah, most importantly, have fun. Thank you.
Yes, having fun. Thank you so much, Katharina Binder, for the amazing speech.
And actually, I think I'm waiting for Daniel, yes. But actually, what
Yes, I'm already here.
Okay, cool.
Now you can read. Yes, so cool. Thanks a lot for the amazing talk here. We have some questions coming in. Sorry, I have to get rid of those headphones. We have some questions coming in. A lot of questions we seeked out of the best ones, and I want to ask you those questions now. First question is, what can we do to change our context so that we go from a corporate-based attitude to entrepreneurial-oriented one?
Actually, I think this is a really good question, and I think this whole process is actually the best way to start, because we also, in my job, I not only work with startups but also with corporates, and this is like the biggest revelation for them. When we say, okay, before we actually build a solution with you, let's go outside, let's talk to people, and it's so amazing when they realize how much you can figure out about a customer within 20 minutes if you just listen to them and let them talk and not like throw marketing messages at them.
Yeah, thanks for the answer. Actually, the next question is also related to interviews. The next question would be how to form a hypothesis for an interview with a user when you already have a prototype to show.
I would go back. I mean, this is very unspecific, right? Because I don't want to know what the prototype is about. But I would really go back to the lean canvas, and I would write down everything that you think about the product right now and about the idea in general, the business, and start from there and really figure out, okay, what are the most important hypotheses here? Like what are the key pillars that this is built on? And then start asking questions about that. And then in the end, this is also like, if you get time from a person, then just like use the last like 5 minutes to show them the prototype and ask them to get feedback on this, because then you can say, once you've got your answers, then you can say, hey, I actually already have something. Would you mind taking a look?
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Because if you have something, why shouldn't you show it, right?
Exactly. But I would first get my questions answered and then show them the solution.
Yeah.
Because otherwise people are biased. And by the way, just one quick comment.
Yeah.
If you read one book about this whole topic, then it should be the Mum Test, because it shows you and it explains how to ask questions without getting biased feedback. So to actually get the important things.
Well, that's important for conducting interviews. Obviously, sorry, I had to get rid of the headphones again. Last question to you would be, would you recommend a partnership, so a joint venture, so to say, for startups in early stages already?
It really depends on the context. I wouldn't be able to answer that right now.
Okay, and what maybe on what context could this depend, or in what context would you say that it does make sense?
Like the joint venture between two startups? I think, if you realize that you're more powerful together and the teams kind of work well together, then why not?
Yes. All right, Katharina, that's it with the questions. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for the talks. Thanks a lot for your time and answering the questions. I hope that, well, the answers were satisfactory. And no, I'm sure that they were satisfactory, of course.
If not,
thanks a lot for your time.
Bye, thanks.
Bye. All right, so was that from Katharina Binder, and we're now moving on, so let me get this fixed here, to a, well, maybe even a minor highlight for today's event, because the next speaker is actually the US ambassador from the US to Austria. His name is Trevor Traina, and he is going to talk a little bit about his experience as the ambassador and also as a serial entrepreneur. So if you look into his CV, well, it's quite stunning, first of all. I don't want to take too much away because he will tell you a lot. And before we get into the actual talk, now is actually the last chance to sign up for the networking that's going to take place at the very end of this whole event. So please be sure to sign up, because you absolutely need to sign up in order to participate, and you definitely should participate because, well, some of the speakers are going to be there. I will be there, so you should definitely be there too. And if you want to do that, please sign up. Link is somewhere in the description. And with these words, actually, yes, we can move on to the speech of Trevor Traina. But before we do that, maybe let me talk briefly about the booklet again. You can get the booklet. It's really a source of well, a lot of information regarding the entrepreneurship avenue and about entrepreneurship in general. And one thing, maybe I can give you a little bit of a feeling what we have in that booklet. There are several, well, let's say startup vocabulary, if you want, that's explained in there. And one, for instance, one startup vocabulary, so to say, is the term unicorn. What does unicorn actually mean? It means that a company whose valuation is reaching 1 billion, and you can find that all in there. I don't want to explain everything now, but we think we can now actually go to the keynote of Trevor Traina.
Hello, everyone. This is Trevor Traina. I'm the American ambassador. This is kind of a funny way for all of us to come together. I've actually done this live, and it's it's a very different experience than doing it virtually. But I'm still very happy to be here with all of you today. And I thought about maybe getting some kind of a fancy background for you, maybe something from like the Tiger King or something like that. But I actually am in my home in Vienna, and behind me is an actual wall. You can see. So I guess maybe that's fancier than some sort of a virtual background. Normally, I would be in a suit and tie up on stage. So you'll have to bear with me as we go through this. And I'm honored to speak with all of you, honored to share a little bit of my story. And I wish I could hear more about yours, but I hope that at some point in the future, maybe we'll have a chance to meet in person. I am the Botschafter. I'm the American ambassador to Austria. As some of you may have heard, I'm also the grandson of the Botschafter, because when I was a little boy, my grandfather was also the American ambassador to Austria. In fact, the first country that I ever visited in the world as a little boy was Austria, when I came to stay in this house where I am right now, when it was my grandparents' house. And so my connection to Austria is long-standing. It's a country that I've visited my whole life, that I've always loved, and it's a great honor and a privilege for me to be here. But my occupation, my career is not originally as a diplomat. So this is my first time being a diplomat, my first time being an ambassador. And as some of you may know, the US system is unusual in as much as we have a number of political appointee ambassadors who are chosen by the White House. And most of America's important friends and partners get political appointee ambassadors. Austria, for instance, always has a political appointee U.S. ambassador. And so, so I was chosen to come and do this, but my background is actually as a tech entrepreneur. And so I grew up in San Francisco, and I started my first startup when I was still a student. I was at the business school at Berkeley at the time. And so even though I may look a lot older now, I do remember what it was like to be a student and to wonder about things. And, you know, just maybe to give some of you peace of mind, when I started out in university, I had absolutely no idea what I wanted to do when I entered the career world. And I remember being really jealous because many of my friends knew exactly what they wanted to do. They wanted to be maybe a doctor or an engineer or something like that. And so they were set, and I had no idea. And I remember how scary and unsettling that felt. And so for many of you who aren't yet sure what you want to do, the one thing that I can tell you is that when it is the right time, you will make a good decision. And there is no mistake. So you will do the best you can. And if it isn't the right thing, down the road you change, but everything that you do builds on everything that you do. Certainly I've seen that in my career. And so don't worry too much about it. And from what I understand, many of you are considering being entrepreneurs, and I would strongly encourage you to continue on that path. It's been my entire career until becoming ambassador, and I don't regret one moment of it. So as I mentioned, I was born and raised in San Francisco, California. And then I did my undergraduate at Princeton University. Ironically, was in international relations, which is helping me now as an ambassador. And then I found my way to Berkeley, where I went to the business school. And when I was at school there, I was hell-bent on coming up with an idea that I could do once I graduated. In fact, I was so focused on it that I was able to structure some of my classes specifically to allow me to do a business plan and to think about a business. And so that worked really well. And when I finished school, I was officially running a company with one employee, which was me, called CompareNet. And CompareNet was a business focused on helping consumers compare products and pick exactly what they wanted to buy before they spent their money. And in my career, I have always felt that the best ideas happen when people think about a problem, either a consumer problem or a business problem, some sort of a need, and they fix it or they fill that need. So whether you're thinking about Uber and the need not only to have a car arrive when you need one for a ride, but also to eliminate having to have enough cash or a credit card, and to take the wondering about where the vehicle is out with the map on your phone. So these are, I think, the best ideas. And CompareNet came at a time when there were lots of places online to buy products, but not a lot of places to compare products with confidence. So that if you were spending, I'll say it in dollars, $100, $200 for something, you wanted to be sure you were buying the right thing. And I ran and grew that business for 3 years, and then I sold it to Microsoft. And I moved my company to Redmond, Washington, where Microsoft is. And now my team, many of them are still there, built what is now MSN.com shopping, MSN shopping. And so it was an exciting win for me, kind of 100 life lessons rolled into 3 years. And then I went on to do it 5 more times. So, well, I've sold 5 companies now, and they were all startups. I sold one to MasterCard, one to Intuit, et cetera, et cetera. And so I've learned a few things on the way, as you can imagine. But the most important thing that I've learned is that having the perfect business plan is not going to achieve success for you. The most important ingredients, in my experience, are two things. The first is something you either have already or you can teach yourself, which is the motivation. In fact, I'll call it the stubbornness to do something with all your heart, even at the risk of failure, until you are successful. And I have seen so many bright and capable people fail because they came up against some sort of an obstacle and they couldn't get over that obstacle. And in every one of my companies, I had a problem, a moment, an obstacle that should have ended the company, an insurmountable problem. And it was something in me that said, I absolutely refuse to fail, that I will find a way. I don't care how I do it. I don't care how long it takes. I will find a way. And this is a quality that anyone either, as I said, can have or that they can develop in themselves. And the second thing is just momentum. So I've seen so many people wait to make the perfect plan and fail to launch. And really, the way you're successful is you come up with an idea that you believe in, an idea that you really like. And I actually said this last year at the same forum that starting a business, having an idea, it's sort of like adopting a pet, like adopting a puppy. Once you've started this business, it is your responsibility for its natural lifetime. You can't just abandon it. You can't just walk away. You are its sole source of nourishment, its sole source of sustenance. And so you have to pick an idea that you really enjoy, because you may have to live with it for a while. But above and beyond that, you can learn everything you need to know as you go. You don't have to be an expert. You don't have to have a perfect plan. You just have to know how to acquire the skills and knowledge on the go as you need them. And so if you have those two skills, this sort of, call it stubbornness or drive or motivation, and a willingness to just move, just go and learn on the way, there is no reason to believe that you cannot be successful. And I say this with all my heart, because I am a product of what we would call the American dream, which is just nothing more than the feeling that anyone, no matter what their background, no matter what their education, can be successful if they work hard. And I've seen it in my career, in my friends' careers, and I really believe in it. And for this reason, as the American ambassador, I spend a lot of my time talking to entrepreneurs and trying to share little bits of wisdom. And that is because, you can say a lot of things about America. You can say a lot of great things about America. You can say a lot of not so great things about America. But I think one thing about America that most people admire and most people agree on is this idea of the American dream, this inventiveness, this entrepreneurial spirit that exists in America. And we really want to see more of it around the world. And I want to see more of it in Europe. And, I meet and talk to Austrian entrepreneurs and European entrepreneurs almost every day. And I am so impressed with them, their innovation, their energy, their intelligence, their backgrounds. But unfortunately, Austria and more broadly Europe is not necessarily fertile ground for entrepreneurship. So there are still cultural stigmas here about failure, about risk. It isn't as widely embraced as it is in the U.S. or in Asia, and the environment here is maybe too focused on regulating you and GDPR and taxing you. Once you have your first moment as a business, and having been an entrepreneur, knowing how hard it is just to take an idea and make it successful, seeing my friends here who have to overcome these other obstacles makes me want to be as helpful as I can. So I salute all of you who have this entrepreneurial drive, and we really want to encourage it. And the U.S. Embassy does offer a lot of programs to help all of you. And our flagship program is called Austria to Austin. And every year we send 20 to 25 Austrian entrepreneurs to America to learn entrepreneurship from American entrepreneurs. We pay for this program, so we pay the way, and Austrian entrepreneurs apply for it. This year, we've also launched a new program called Austria to Silicon Valley, where we send Austrians to California to build their networks there and learn how to raise money. And we run many other programs, including monthly breakfasts here with the VKE, where we bring speakers, and I attend these things so that we can not only share our knowledge, but help Austrian entrepreneurs meet each other, which is another vital skill. And so for all of you who are watching, you can follow the U.S. Embassy social media sites. It's USEMB Vienna. You can follow us on Instagram or Facebook for more information on these. But they're really powerful programs. And I would say to you, having been an entrepreneur most of my life, the thing that I would say is it's not like work. It's when you choose this path, you lose all your armor. It's kind of like you're naked to the world. When you have a good day, nothing possibly could feel any better. When you have a terrible day, it's the worst feeling you've ever had. And believe me, I've had many of both. But it's so exciting, it's so intoxicating that, you know, when you're doing it, you can't turn it off. You come home at night and it's all you can think about. You go to bed and you dream about it, and you can't wait to wake up the next morning and get back to it, because it's so exciting, it's so thrilling. And having done it, I don't think I could ever just do kind of regular work again. Now, of course, yes, I am a diplomat now, but in a way that's also entrepreneurial and has a lot of the same appeal and excitement as being an entrepreneur. But it really is a fantastic path. And so for all of you who are considering it, you know, I really want to salute you. Don't second guess yourself. You will never regret it. It'll be the most fun you've ever had. It'll be the most learning you've ever had, the most stretching. You'll have terrible days, but the good days, they are worth it. And so I am American, which means probably I could talk all day here. But my guess is that maybe a few of you have questions, and maybe we'll have time for one or two of them. And so I'll just conclude again by saying that it's really a great honor for me to be here in Europe, to be here in Austria. It's not something I take for granted. And the most fun I've had here has been getting to know many Austrian entrepreneurs and enjoying those interactions and sharing my experience. And so I hope that today has been helpful to you. I hope maybe we'll have a chance to interact in the future, maybe meet, maybe at one of our embassy events, and congratulations to all of you.
Thank you a lot for the amazing speak, Trevor, Traina. Very inspirational, very motivating. I really liked it, and it seems that our viewers also really liked it because they had a ton of questions. And if you don't mind, I would just ask you some of them. The first question would be, what would you recommend to students who wish to link diplomacy, entrepreneurship, and trade? What would be your recommendation to those students?
Well, those are clearly all subjects that I spend a lot of time focusing on and talking about. And there, you know, I think, I always say, I think Austria is a great place to be an entrepreneur. And I think it's a great place to start a company. And here's why. And I know some of you may not be from Austria, you may be from neighboring countries, but there are many countries in Europe that would fall in this category. And the reason why is when I started my companies in America, the American market is so big that I had to figure out how to market to 330 million people. Yeah. And that is really challenging. Austria is the perfect size. It's like the perfect first market. And if you can market to 9 million people here, which is a manageable size, and you can get a model working here, you can take it internationally. And so diplomacy itself is a little bit different than entrepreneurship, but as far as the international component and trade and all of those things, I think they're part and parcel.
Yes. Thanks a lot for this answer. Absolutely, Austria is a good country to start because it's rather small, and then you can take it to other countries. The next question that came up on Slido was, what would be the first step if you solve a real-life government problem with a piece of software and wanted to market it to the government?
Well, I guess you have to get to the right people, right? Yeah. And you know, it's interesting because in all of my businesses had a consumer part and a business-to-business part. And I actually really recommend for your businesses, try to have more than one revenue stream. And there's benefits to both. Consumer takes a while to scale, but if you can get to great scale, it's a powerful model, particularly marketplaces. Businesses have lots of money, but they take time to make decisions. Governments have lots of money, but they take a lot of time to make decisions. And they require a lot of proof points and things like that. So if you can find a champion within the government, and that's probably going to be a mid-level person with technical expertise who really believes in what you're doing and they know how to work the system, you'll do great. But if they don't, you'll spend a lot of time trying to get a government to make a decision.
Thanks a lot for the answer to the second question, and we also have a third question that people really want to know, and it's a rather general one, but they want to know what failure you experienced and what did you learn from the failure that you experienced?
Well, every one of my companies, as I said, had potentially terminal moments, where things were going really, really poorly. And decisions that I made that turned out to be bad decisions. Could have been markets we tried to enter that didn't work out, etc. But I'm a big believer in the try it quickly, and if it fails, recognize it quickly and move on. And so when you have a failure, you have to spend a little bit of time deciding, is it worth doubling down or not? But if you have to be honest with yourself when you say, you know what, I made a decision based on the best information I had. It seemed like a good decision. It's not working out, and I shouldn't be married to it. I shouldn't try to own that. I should just move on. I think that's probably the best advice I can give you. And I had one company that it just took too long, and I kept raising more money and trying different stuff. And that was the one where I did sell it, but I should have just recognized early on, this is really pushing a rock up a hill. And I was too stubborn to recognize that.
Yes, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for those answers, and also thanks a lot for taking the time for this talk. I think it was really interesting, really insightful, and thanks a lot, Trevor, Traina.
Thank you for having me. Next time I'll have my proper, Tiger King background.
Nice. But I also really like that one. It looks really nice.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you for having me.
All right, just a quick little note on the side. If you want to contact Katharina Binder, who was the speaker some minutes ago, you can actually contact her under katharina.binder@theventury.com. She wanted to have a last slide, but we kind of didn't show that. But here, if you want to contact Katharina Binder, you can do so under this email address. Yes, you're probably wondering, because we're shooting this here somewhere, and we would now like to give you a little look behind the scenes. What's it actually here? So, where am I now? Oh, there I am. There I am. So, yes, that's basically the set here that we set up. It's a nice chair where I'm sitting, and yeah, over there we have all of the computers, amazing people that are doing all the computing work, all the Zoom calls, managing the calls, and yeah. Oh, who is that? The unicorn! I was talking before about the unicorn. There it is. Isn't it cute? Yeah, that's our mascot, Unicorn. I really like it. All right, Unicorn, you got some work to do, or everything fine? Yes? All right. Awesome. Well. All right, that was it from the Unicorn, our amazing mascot. And I was also talking before what it actually means, but if you want to know what unicorn actually means, not in a animal sense, but in a startup sense, you can find that in the booklet we provide you with. You can find the link to the booklet in the description. All right, then we're actually moving on to the next speaker, who is Sandra Falkner, the founder of a company called Alpengummi. Yes, it's a chewing gum, a very special chewing gum because it's actually made from trees. And well, she's a founder and she knows a lot about the ups and downs of startups, and I'm really curious about her talk. Again, you can ask her questions on Slido, and after her talk we will ask her some of those questions. And if you like the next talk, if you like the previous talk with Trevor Traina, please be sure to like the video here and also subscribe to us. We would really appreciate that. But now, let's not waste any time here. Let's move on to the next speaker.
Hallo. Funktioniert's? Hallo, ich bin die Sandra von Alpengummi. Freut mich, dass ihr heute dabei seid und ja, bin gespannt auf eure Fragen. Ich kann leider nichts hören. Ist das normal oder? Go. Hallo, ich bin die Sandra von Alpengummi, einer der Gründerinnen des ersten natürlichen Kaugummis der Alpen. Das Ganze sieht so aus. Es gibt Erdbeere und Waldminze und das ist eben ein natürlicher Kaugummi im Gegensatz zu den konventionellen, die im Großteil eben aus Plastik hergestellt werden. Wie wir überhaupt darauf gekommen sind. Also die Claudia und ich haben uns während unseres Studiums der Umweltwissenschaften kennengelernt. Wir sind dann drauf gekommen, dass wir eigentlich schon 3 Jahre lang im selben Haus gewohnt haben, aber uns eigentlich nie davor gesehen hatten. Und da war das Ganze halt dann super zufällig dort. Und während einer gemeinsamen Lehrveranstaltung haben wir dann die Idee von Alpengummi entwickelt. In der Lehrveranstaltung ging es um Innovationen im Forstsektor. Also da mussten wir einen Businessplan schreiben und ja, mit einer fiktiven Idee aus dem Wald aufkommen. Und so sind wir eben auf den Rohstoff Harz gestoßen. Und dann ist uns eigentlich klar geworden, dass wir über Harze fast nichts. Oh Gott. Sollen wir nochmal anfangen, Katharina? Oder ist egal? Okay. Okay, sorry. I'll try to speak in English. So once again, I'm Sandra from Alpengummi. We developed the very first chewing gum of the Alps made of tree resin and beeswax. And I just quickly told how the idea came about. Claudia, my colleague, and I developed the idea during a common lecture at the University of Applied Life Sciences here in Vienna. We had to come up with a business plan from a fictive idea of a forest product. And so we came across the resource tree resin. We figured out that we actually didn't know anything about this resource that has been used for centuries actually. And then we also, like, during this kind of process of researching, we found out that normal chewing gums are made of plastics. So it's mostly of petroleum products that is the main source for the gum bases. And once we found that out, we were quite shocked because we didn't know that we are actually chewing on plastics, and every third person, like in general, it's every third person that chews on gum regularly. And yeah, it was like very new to us. So we thought, why not combining these two kinds of information we had by then? So combining the resource tree resin with substituting a fossil fuel based product. And so the first step was this business plan. And then we thought, okay, this sounds so great, and we had everything ready just except the product. So we started out experimenting in our own kitchen. And as you can imagine, it was quite sticky, and then we didn't know where to start and so on. And so we went on working in a professional lab with, the scales and everything, because, at home it's quite difficult, especially in these small amounts. And yeah, so after experimenting in the lab, we went onto a professional kitchen, where we produce the product manually until now. And just now we're about to change to machines. So we are currently doing a crowdfunding campaign where we try to finance bigger machines in order to scale everything up and to be more independent and, have the capacities to deliver. And yeah, just for this campaign, we expanded our product line. So now we have a third flavor that it's, in German, it's Wacholder Verbene, and in English it's juniper. And it's especially for the summer and for gin lovers. I think it's quite a good choice of the flavor. And yeah, so we started very small, just with a business plan, with an idea. And now 3 years after, we sell in about 100 shops in whole Austria and also Germany, and have many requests also from Switzerland. So try and see how it looks there, because the requirements and regulations are different. Because it's non-EU, it's always difficult, and we see how it works, because the first natural chewing gum of the Alps is of course also belonging to Switzerland. So yeah, I'm happy to hear your questions, and thank you for your attention.
Hello, and thanks very much for the talk. Very interesting. I never tried it actually, the chewing gum, but I would now be really curious how it tastes. We have got some questions here. If you don't mind, I would just ask you some of them. And the first question would be, because on the chewing gum market, there are probably some big brands like Orbit out there. What's your secret recipe to marketing your product actually?
Yeah, that's a good question. So basically the chewing gum market is quite, not diverse. So it's dominated to 95% of one company, Wrigley's, and Orbit is belonging to Wrigley's. So, and that's also why 95% of all the chewing gums are petroleum based, because that's their recipe to work with synthetic polymers. And also that's also one reason why you can make these big bubbles and so on. So of course it has also positive aspects. However, our story, is just as I told you right now. So it's a process where we thought, okay, we start with this natural resource and wanna develop a product out of it, and at the same time substitute this plastic product. And that's, I think, the secret. It is actually not a secret behind our marketing. So we're, transparent. We're honest. We tell people what's in our gum, but we also tell people what it is in other gums that they probably didn't know. And then there's the other aspect of the handcraft of resin extraction. So it's not just this natural resource, but it's also connected with a local handcraft that is still done by just a few people in Lower Austria. So it also connects the people, I think, a bit more to their home country.
Yes, absolutely.
And so they feel like this product has some kind of identity, and they, if they go out in a forest, sometimes you can still see it on the trees where it has been harvested like 10, 20 or even 50 years ago.
Yes, okay, thanks. Really interesting, because you were talking about the production. There was actually some people wondering about that exactly. How do you start manufacturing these gums, or how do you even find a partner that develops such chewing gums?
Yeah, that's a good question. And it was very hard to find something appropriate. So I just told you we, developed the gum first in our kitchen. It was just a few weeks, and then we started on to the lab. And there we had also contact with the staff there, and they helped us a little bit. So in fact, we developed everything on our own, except, some people helped us here and there, but we didn't have another institution also developing the product for us, what you can also have. And then when we decided to start selling the product and to, having the first tests done and so on, we needed to, expand. And we thought it's much easier, and it goes quite quicker. But in fact, it took us 1 year now to find a producer that can actually produce our gum now. And first, we looked at conventional chewing gum producers. We went to these big fairs in Amsterdam to see all those private label manufacturers that they work like with chewing gums for more than 20, 30 years. But the thing is that our product is so special and is so, actually unique from the gum base that some say they can't do it. Some say they need way bigger batches, like as a small startup. It's especially difficult to cooperate with big companies. And so in the end, we decided to buy our own machines and start an own production, which we actually didn't want because it's, always easier not to have own machines and so on. But in this case, it was not possible.
Yes, thanks for the answer. That's really interesting. Wow, so really a local production, basically, so to say. Well, then, thanks a lot for being here and for taking the time. Was really interesting. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for your invitation. All the best to you.
All the best. Bye.
Bye.
All right, then we are now moving on to the last speaker, but definitely not the least speaker. Her name is Hanna Wundsam, and well, it's quite special because she actually she participated in the Entrepreneurship Avenue last year, and she won the Pitch Award. The Pitch Award is taking place in the conference then, and she actually won that, and she will talk a little bit about her experience and basically how the Entrepreneurship Avenue kickstarted her career as an entrepreneur. And this can probably even be a role model for a lot of people that are watching now, because I think it really shows what you can take out of events like these. Also a quick comment here. The registration for the networking is now unfortunately closed, so that's why we removed the link in the description, but you will for sure have time to do that, for instance, during the next event. So don't be sad about that. Rather be excited for the next talk, actually. And yeah, it's now Hanna Wundsam with her talk.
It's the day of the Entrepreneurship Avenue conference, and I'm standing on the stage looking into a dark room, and I know that there are over 100 people waiting for me to start talking. For a second, I don't know what to do. But then I see this little screen where it says 120 seconds left. And I take this huge bag that I took with me and toss all of this single-use takeaway packaging on the floor. And I start pitching the world what we envision of a future without any takeaway packaging waste. I don't remember much that happened afterwards, just that it took us ages to get all of these takeaway packages off the floor. But I do remember the feeling when we were told that we, out of all of these amazing ideas, made the cut and got awarded with the first prize of the Entrepreneurship Avenue Pitch Award. But I also remember the feeling that it kind of seemed to be an end. It was the end of the Entrepreneurship Avenue program. It was the end of my university career, as I was finishing my master's at that point. And it was the end for one of our team members who was joining a corporate just a month after the Avenue. But I couldn't have been more wrong. This moment was actually only the start of our journey with Rephil and of my entrepreneurial journey. I'm very happy to be here today. I'm the co-founder of Rephil, a startup that reduces single-use packaging waste by implementing a smart, sustainable solution for takeaway packaging, and the CXO of AustrianStartups, a platform for innovative entrepreneurship in Austria. And I'm very happy to tell you how the Entrepreneurship Avenue kickstarted my entrepreneurial journey. And for that, to tell you about 3 learnings that will hopefully help you to kickstart your own journey with this program. I will shortly touch base on these learnings. The first one is to take advantage. The next couple of months, you will have the possibility to go through this journey of the Entrepreneurship Avenue, learn and build a basis for your startup to grow. And this is only the beginning. Don't think within the borders of the Entrepreneurship Avenue, but use this time in order to then build something that can scale up afterwards. And the third thing is that the entrepreneurial path is never straight. The last speaker probably touched base on this as well, but a journey in the entrepreneurship scene has a lot of ups and downs. So let's jump right into it. Take advantage. Right now, you are in this kind of safe space where you can try out, you can build, you can fail, and you can learn a lot from the people that are here to support you. So really use this as your playground. And what we did with Rephil was to really look at who are the people who are here to support us within the entrepreneurship labs. So we went to every single lab, and in the labs, my slides are jumping in the wrong direction. We looked at the people that were there and if there was someone who could help us further. For example, that one time we had a pitch workshop and we got really good tips on how to improve our slide deck. So we followed up with this person and sent him again our pitch deck, asked for even more feedback, and he was super happy to help us further. So what I would like to tell you here is that don't be afraid to use the advice and to follow up with people. They are here to help you and everybody is super excited to see you grow. The second part is that this is only the beginning. So use this time to really build up a solid foundation for your entrepreneurial journey and think outside the borders of the Entrepreneurship Avenue. For us, it really took off a week after the Entrepreneurship Avenue, when we had another pitch contest where we didn't win anything, but there were 2 people in the room that were super important for our development. The first one was Matthias Reisinger. He is at AWS. And the second one is Patrick Pirchecker. He was at A1, the innovation manager. And after my pitch, Matthias came to me and told me, hey, Hannah, I really like your pitch. Actually, I would love your service to be at the canteen of A1 because the building of AWS is just next to A1. And every day I go there for lunch and I take my food in takeaway packaging. And I create so much waste. I actually, up to that point, didn't even realize that canteens are a major market for us because a lot of takeaway waste is produced there. Afterwards, I went to Patrick and told him, hey, AWS would love to have our service at your canteen. Can't we have an appointment? Can't we see if we can work together? And 2 weeks later, we were sitting in the office of A1 discussing how we could implement our first pilot at their canteen. In November, we actually tested our first MVP, minimal viable product, at the canteen of A1. And what was really important here is that we used the opportunity, and every time you tell someone about your idea, this is an opportunity, and we followed up. Following up is one of the most important things you need to do when you're trying to start an idea. I heard lately from someone that people have this kind of bullshit wall. So if you don't send them at least 2 to 3 emails, they think it's not worth their time anyways, because the person doesn't think it's very relevant. So don't be afraid to follow up and don't get demoralized if you don't get a response right away. The third thing is that your path will not be straight. Actually, the path of an entrepreneur looks very much like this. It's kind of a curve. Beginning, you're like, oh my God, this is the best idea ever, we can do this. And then it goes down, you realize, wow, okay, this is not that easy. There's a lot we still have to learn. Oh my God, this sucks. And you kind of get into this valley of despair. And you need a couple of things in order to, again, get out of this valley of despair and get back to the point where you say, okay, hey, we actually are onto something. The first thing is a team that really helps you to get up again, that motivates you, that holds very strongly together and with which you can go through all the ups and downs. The second one is persistence and belief. So you really need a long breath because sometimes it can take quite some time to get through this valley. And the third one is to have a vision, that you really think the problem you're tackling is worth solving. And therefore, it is important that you focus on the problem and not on your idea. Your idea might change. There are multiple ways to get to a solution, but it's important that you still have your vision in mind, the problem that you want to solve, and that this one is really important to you. So for us, it was always all the waste that comes from takeaway packaging. The way how the refill service looks, how our idea exactly looks like, has changed over time, but the problem, the vision has stayed the same. Another thing that I would like you to take with from today is that every journey is different, and therefore don't be afraid to also open doors that you didn't see in the beginning. For me, a very important door that opened was the opportunity to join AustrianStartups as their CXO. AustrianStartups is a platform for innovative entrepreneurship in Austria. Our vision is to make entrepreneurship as common as skiing in Austria. And I can now work on the one side on creating this great ecosystem and getting all my learnings that I have from the startup world into my job at AustrianStartups, but I can also use the network and all of the learnings that I get from the entrepreneurship scene within AustrianStartups to apply it to Rephil. And therefore there are lots of synergies, and I kind of have the best of both worlds here. So to sum up this short talk of mine, I would like to leave you with 3 points. First one, solve a problem you really care about. For us, we saw all of the waste from the takeaway packaging at university, and it bothered us so much that we really just wanted to solve our own problem. The second is to use the Entrepreneurship Avenue as a playground. You can now test, fail, learn, and get so much feedback from people who went through the same journey as you are doing. So don't be afraid to ask people for help and to follow up. And the third is to go on this journey with people you like a lot, because those are the people who will get you out of this valley of despair, that will stay with you through all the ups and downs. And it's really important that you do this together. I'm very happy to have been here with you guys today. Afterwards, we'll have to go to the 80th Stammtisch of Austrian Startups, which also takes place today after this. But right now I'm still here for some questions for you. You can also contact me either if it's for Rephil, on my Rephil address, for Austrian Startups on the Austrian Startups address, or just connect through LinkedIn. I'm super happy to talk to you further, and see you soon.
Thanks a lot, Hannah Wundsam, for the very inspirational talk. I'm sure that you can be a role model for many people that are actually watching here, because you've also participated in the Entrepreneurship Avenue, and now you're here with your own startup, which is great. And well, we have a lot of questions that we received here, and if you don't mind, I would like to ask you some of them. And the first question would be, what would you recommend for coordinating? Sorry guys. What would you recommend for coordinating entrepreneurial ventures with other things like studies or job?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's very important for yourself to, first of all, set clear structures. So I have the days where I focus more on Austrian Startups. I have my days where I focus more on Rephil. But I always leave like an hour in the evening where I also see, okay, what are the most important things that came in for Rephil? Do I have to still do something today? And also for Austrian Startups, then on my Rephil days to look into my Austrian Startups emails, etc. The second point is to also make sure you have some time for yourself, that you do enough sports breaks and time with your loved ones in order to not get crazy.
Yes.
I think this is really helpful. What we learned, especially with Rephil, and Connie, my co-founder here, did an amazing job with setting up a structure, is that tools like Trello or Todoist can help a lot in order to just structure the different to-dos, and also in order to not only have like a short-term plan for every day or every week, but also look more into the future. So, okay, what's our goal to reach until the end of the, until the summer, for example, and then have like a milestone map. And then with this milestone map, you can break down, okay, what are the different to-dos that then fall into these milestones. Yeah, structure is something you can learn.
Thanks for the answer. Yeah, so it's probably an art to keep that under one head, but you seem to have mastered that pretty well. The next question we received is, how do you approach big businesses like A1, for example, if you don't have the right connections yet?
Mm-hmm. So, as I said before, use every opportunity. Every time you talk about your startup, you need to be like in sales or pitching mode. And you often have, you might not have the direct contact to someone, but you often have like the third or the second connections. So LinkedIn is a really good tool in order to find out who are connections to some people for you. So there's this, you can actually look in this selection search field of Rephil and look up the filter for different companies, and then filter for their positions, and then you can find people you need to know, and then you can also see if you have any common contacts, and then you can see if you can contact this common contact to give you a lead. Another thing is to go through to all of the events that are happening, even if they're online. Like, I mean, of course, the Entrepreneurship Avenue is a good example, but also the Stammtisch, there are like, tons of events. Also, if you have the Austrian Startups newsletter, you will be notified about all of them.
Yeah, really cool. I'm a subscriber of the newsletter. I can just recommend to subscribe as well to everyone that's watching here. Third question, the next question that someone wanted to know is actually what motivated you the most with getting started to develop your idea, and how did you know that it actually has potential?
Okay, first what motivated me, I've been in the entrepreneurship scene for quite some time. I've always been on the facilitator side. So I worked with the Student Innovation Center. I also organized Entrepreneurship Avenue at some point. I worked in a startup.
Great job, probably.
And I really wanted to get active myself. And then I had multiple ideas. And actually, Markus Warnig, the CEO of AustrianStartups, then had a talk with us at the garage course. And he told me, or told us, 3 things that are important, or that every founder should ask himself when you start an idea. It's why us, why now, and why here. So why us? Okay, why are we the ones that are the right people who can actually do or develop this idea? And for me, I was with my team, we had very different skills. We all were super, super eager, and it felt like we had a strong team that can do this. Why here? Austria is a place that is looking in, like, sustainability is super important. Companies are more and more looking into ways to become more sustainable. Also, the customer group is just right in Austria, because we have a lot of people who would love to produce less waste. And the third, why now? And there was actually a very important point, that there was the EU guideline that will prohibit single-use packaging by 2021. So actually restaurants have to look for more sustainable ways for their takeaway packaging. So this was a very important part as well. And yeah, I can just recommend that when you look at your idea, to ask these 3 questions. And if you have a yes at least 2 of these, or like convincing arguments, then you're pretty well set up.
All right, what a good tip. Thanks a lot for that. And we actually have a very last question. People want to know if you have any particular recommendations on reaching out, following up, and building a network.
Use the opportunities that are out there through the networks that are here. So you have the Entrepreneurship Avenue. So now you have already access to quite a big network of student entrepreneurs. If you're a female founder, you can reach out to the Female Founder Network and go into there. There's for social entrepreneurs, the Impact Hub, which is an amazing community, which has also weekly events, etc., for people that are especially in the sustainability field. So what I would actually also recommend is to look at, okay, in which bubble are we actually with our product? So with Rephil, we were very much in the sustainability bubble in the first point. And then to look who are the players in my bubble, because you can learn so much also from the other startups that are working on similar issues as you do. So also when we started with Rephil, we didn't only participate at the Entrepreneurship Avenue, we also applied for Rephil, which is an accelerator for startups that make Vienna more a sustainable city. And we got in, and there the Impact Hub community opened up for us. We also took part in the Climate Launchpad, which is a green business idea competition. And we got into this little bubble, and therefore, like, our network grew and grew. And of course, AustrianStartups also has an amazing network that everybody can tap into, especially by going to all the events and connect with other people. Or to become a volunteer. That's also a good one.
Yes, thanks a lot for the answers. Very, very long, very good answers. We really like that. Thanks a lot for your talk. Thanks a lot for taking the time, and have a good one.
Thank you very much for having me.
Bye.
Ciao.
So that was it with the very last talk. Yeah, as I said, hopefully somewhat of a role model for many people watching here, because she actually also took place here. She actually participated here in the Entrepreneurship Avenue last year. Now that we come closer and closer to the end of this event, we would like to tell you a little bit what's happening now. What is the outlook? What's the next event that's coming up? And the next event that's coming up is the idea presentation. This is an event where you really first kind of make your hands dirty, so to say, because we actually require your action for that. And well, the idea of the event is that you pitch your idea and that you find teammates in order to work on this idea. And really important also here to say, the idea does not have to be finished, not have to be perfect, and it should be early stage. It shouldn't be perfect, because that's exactly what we are here for, and we want to provide you with guidance, and we want to provide you with further help to work on this idea. This is really what we're here for, so it really does not have to be perfect. Really, any idea is suitable here. And what we would ask you is to upload a 30-second pitch of your idea, and also this does absolutely not have to be professional. Just record yourself a little video so that we can know what your idea actually is. And the most important thing for the video is that there is the problem and the solution in the video, and you can do this really in just 30 seconds, and then you should be set, and we should all know what the idea is about. Yes, but what if you do not have an idea? Well, that is of course no problem. You can still join the event and find people with ideas there, join their team, help them working on the idea. So this is absolutely no problem. Either way, if you have an idea or if you have no idea, the one thing that we require you to do is to sign up for the event. It's still for free. It's all for free. Don't worry. But the one thing you need to do is sign up. And of course, if you have an idea, send us your 30-second pitch, and you can find the link where you can actually upload your 30-second pitch, probably somewhere in the description. Yes, and also if you want to then participate further throughout the mentoring events and the demo day, the participation in the next event, the idea presentation is mandatory in order to proceed. But anyways, I really recommend taking this chance. If you have an idea, again, I say it the third time now, but it doesn't matter. It does not have to be a finished idea. It does not have to be professional. So really, just do it. Don't overthink it. It's best if you just do it. And yeah, maybe also at the end we can show some alumni of the Entrepreneurship Avenue to give you kind of a feeling what can come out of such events. We had Rephil here that was a participant of the Entrepreneurship Avenue, but there are many more, like Hockeyfy, they're working in the job market, Refurb, a marketplace for sustainable electronics, Rephil also here, Frinks. So a lot of great companies, a lot of great success that actually started here at the Entrepreneurship Avenue. So really be sure to take the chance, use the events, use the mentoring, use the pitch training, and get your idea started. All right, that being said, we say a lot of information here, and probably it's confusing sometimes, but we have actually assembled a booklet for you that you can download. You can find the link in the description. Download it, you can find useful information there, all of the events, everything is described there in detail. So it's best if you just download it, keep it in a safe place on your computer, and go through it in order to know what's happening. So this actually brings us to the very end already of this event. Once again, please, if you liked it, and we really hope that you liked it, be sure to like the video here and subscribe to our channel. We have, as said, much more events coming up. And yeah, at this point I just would like to say thanks a lot for watching this. It has been a very cool experience for us too, a very novel experience. We've never done this before, but really exciting, and we're already excited for the next events. Lab 1 is coming up, the idea presentation. Either we see you there or we see you now in the networking. I'm going to be in the networking as well, and I definitely hope to see you there. And if you're not in networking, we will hopefully see you in the Lab 1. So that's it from our side. Thanks again for watching and take care.